First of all, I am Natalia Bailey. I'm an email marketing strategist and copywriter. And I have you here with me today, Richard. Richard, you are the owner of Steyer's Peonies. You have been for how many years again?
About 12 years ownership, but
Right.
more than 25 years of marketing and distribution.
That's right. Yeah.
Operated very closely with Steyer's since 1990.
Nice. Starting from the beginning of the work we did together. So we met, I believe it was early April of this year of 2021, and we started working together within about a week. So before we met, could you go ahead and describe to me what was going on in your life and in your business that brought you to me?
Yeah, we had at the end of our season in 2020, we took stock of how successfully we had been able to direct market our flowers, which had been forced upon us because wholesale markets of New York and Boston, which are a huge volume of our production, would go there, were closed, completely closed down for COVID. There were no weddings. There was absolutely nothing happening. So no, not only that, it was hard to find people to work, although agriculture was exempt. And we kind of tried to make sure everyone was isolating and masks were worn. And so we had to jump around and come up with some new ideas. And our website and our web sales had been in existence already for 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But, just ticking along and I developed that primarily because I knew we had to get moving in that direction because our margins would be greater and everything would be much more straightforward. And in so doing, we got to begin direct marketing. The website, which I built over time and refined, was clumsy and amateurish. So, but it worked, it worked. And it was linked to FedEx, it was linked to Shipper IQ. So people could place orders, get immediate real-time quotes on transport, overnight delivery. And we had a special arrangement with FedEx rates, and all of that was in place.
Yeah.
And that's big because I know how difficult it was to make all that happen. So what we needed to do, therefore, was to make the site more functional, more attractive, and more appealing to buyers.
Yeah.
And so we approached somebody who worked in that field. She went about it, and she had quite a bit of time. She didn't have all the material, maybe like photographs that we would have benefited from, but she really put her mind to it and she made some changes. We still stayed on the same platform and just had a different shop appearance. We were happy with that.
Yeah.
And
it's beautiful now.
I had said to Zoe that, we really, what about the marketing aspect of things, and how do we go about this? So that led me on to the next sort of aspect of how we are conducting our electronic business, and that is through Constant Contact.
Yeah.
Again, I'd been using Constant Contact probably for 10 years now. And I had a huge gallery of photographs going back to our early business days. And even though they're expensive, I wasn't prepared to switch because of my library of content.
Yeah.
And I think, when I started looking at that and realizing what a chaotic mess it was. And so when I was sending stuff out on Constant Contact, which I was prior to your arrival, it was going to people that I had no idea where it was going. I just would send all, and I had about 2,500 people on it, and they all were getting these emails. And some immediately responded with a purchase, and so obviously I was hitting some people correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and so in real time I saw the results of what my action was and the reaction to that
Mm-hmm.
in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
These were dollars of sales that I was kind of enthralled by, because this was a technique that was new to me, and not that, I mean, over several years. So I knew the power of that and talked to Zoe about it, and she recommended I contact you because this was
Yeah.
your field. So
Yeah.
that's how we got into business with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And as I, have pointed out, we didn't know each other, and Zoe recommended you, and I committed to you, and you committed to me, and
Yeah.
so developed a program that you put together,
Mm-hmm.
completely and utterly, based on questions and answers
Yeah.
from me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. So you were coming off of COVID. You had shifted your business over to more consumer sales as opposed to wholesale. And that's your goal going forward now, as we've discussed. And you were seeing how well the email was working when you were blasting, like you said, to everybody. You didn't know
Yeah.
who. I remember last time we talked, you said sending out an email is like going fishing.
It is.
And
Yeah.
I liked that analogy
Yeah.
a lot. Cool.
No,
And
it's
so
you put a great photograph out, and it's really, I found photographs do more than anything. That's because I don't have the time to write the script.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my opinion was that photographs did everything.
Yeah.
But since I've seen what you've done in the written form,
Yeah.
I see how really important that is.
Yeah.
To really draw people in, because you've got a story, and that story is really important to develop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you definitely have a story, and it was really wonderful to share it over email this past peony season.
Yeah.
And so we started working together. The goal when we started working together was to sell, to really reach some big, ambitious revenue goals for your peony season, which for people who don't know, because I didn't know beforehand, the peony season is only about 6 weeks from late April until early June. And so that's really when you're selling your flowers, is just that time each year. And so we went ahead and worked
our season goes to the end of June. We were still at the tail end of COVID this year, and our production in New York was hampered by lack of labor.
Right.
So, because of COVID. So, all things being equal, we should be able to do about an 8-week season, is my
I see.
projection.
Yeah.
Okay.
So about an 8-week season, still a short time of the year. We started working together on the conversion closer campaign. So a campaign to go ahead and segment your audiences into who we suspected were consumers and who we suspected were retailers. And so that's what we signed up to do together. How did you feel? What was your biggest challenge or hurdle when you were deciding to start working with me? What was tough about that decision for you?
I think probably financially.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to budget and know what to budget. And so that was the hardest. We had come off a very, very, a real drought in that COVID really nailed us. And I mean, there wasn't a wedding in 2020. We are wedding flowers. So, you go figure. And then, our grocery store that we supply, their orders were minimal because, again, people weren't coming into the shops. There was nothing. And so it was a real problem. And fortunately, it's a perennial crop. So we weren't faced with planting costs every year, and we were able to just hold our breath and wait. But coming out of it, hold our breath and wait, and actually have it rubbed in that these direct sales could work and would work. So we saw the writing on the wall, and so that was what pushed us to go with the program that you were working on.
Yeah.
And we were fortunately able to justify the expenditure, which we had also done to upgrade our website, and and it worked. So
yeah,
that's what business is all about. You
Yeah.
have to make
Right.
decisions, you have to dig deep and decide to fund this or that, and and looking for payback. In your
Right.
case, it wasn't quantifiable. If I go out and buy a tractor, I know exactly what to expect from that tractor and how it's going to save me time and energy and this, that, and the other. But that's the difference between a fixed asset and intellectual development. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And I know another time we spoke, you mentioned, and I really liked that you mentioned this to me. You talked about how you were clueless as to what you were getting into before we started working together. But like you were saying, now you realized you had to take a chance and find out what this could do for you, and that at the end you were grateful about it. But even though it was hard for you to understand what you were getting beforehand, but then, like you said, it worked. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the results for a little bit here,
Sure.
because we saw that the results were amazing, both quantifiable results and then qualitative results too. So real quick rundown, this past season, you reached almost double of what your revenue was the previous season. And you also reached 125% of what your goal was for this season. So you surpassed your goals.
Yeah.
And from what was sold over email, we were able to see that from what we can track, right? Because like we said, marketing is so complex. You don't always know exactly how people are being influenced. But from what we could track, we saw that you had a 580% return on investment for your email marketing, which is outstanding. During the course of the program, we also tripled your audience by figuring out who all these people were and making sure to add audience members from the festival that you also hold during the season. And then one of my favorite results, this is probably my personal favorite. I don't know how much you liked it, but my favorite result from the season was an email response that you got back. From what I understand, you got a lot more, but you sent this one to me. And I actually, I print out good results right above my desk where I am.
Yeah, you should.
And it says, I'm just going to read it real quick because I loved it so much. Someone wrote, "I am so impressed at the lovely tone of this email. It has left me happier interacting with you all and to receive this. Initially, I was putting off ordering peonies from you guys because I found them a tad expensive, but you are so consistent. I hear the best quality, and this email just solidified it." So that was the result after the very first email we sent, where we were asking people to self-segment. And yeah.
And in other words, you improved the value of our customer just by providing them, focusing on what they needed to hear, and being and not being redundant.
Yeah, that's another big thing, providing value and relevance and not boring them, not bothering
no redundancy, and that's key. Yeah.
And you can still improve sales with that. Yeah, awesome. And so with all that, you didn't know what you were going.
The other one that really struck me is the last one about Father's Day, and why don't you buy flowers for your father? And which I thought was really an interesting concept and a great concept. And we got the email saying from this lady who said she had ordered peonies from us for herself because her father, who was now deceased, had so loved them and grown them in their own gardens. So she had bought them as a memory of her father, which I thought was somehow, you appeal to people's instincts in ways that you have no idea you're going to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a beautiful one as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And so just to clarify, that was in response to an email that went out for Father's Day, essentially saying, is it a good idea to buy flowers, peonies for Father's Day? And then explaining why. Yes,
yeah,
do
yeah,
it. And
yeah,
and that was an exciting one for me to write, because I was tapping into, you know, the emotional, just innate emotions we
yeah,
have around that.
yeah. And it's, you
Yeah.
know, we're lucky to cover Mother's Day and Father's Day. So,
Hmm.
you know,
Really,
we
we are.
can, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. So with all that, then you started out not really knowing what you were getting into, and then we saw all these wonderful results. How would you explain the work that we did together to someone who was on the fence about doing the same?
Um, I don't think that's a difficult question, because
Mm-hmm.
no one will be on the fence in the way I was, I don't think,
You might be surprised.
because as I've used the comparison, it's like riding a wave. We are riding a
Mm-hmm.
wave right now, you
Yeah.
know, of COVID related changes. Um, the overnight delivery industry is less and less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so everything is coming together to make the perfect wave.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you have to assess what's going on.
Mm-hmm. That
You know,
too.
I think it's the same for everybody in business, that overnight delivery is less expensive,
Mm-hmm.
that e-commerce sites are well evolved now to fulfill orders efficiently,
Mm-hmm.
and for payments and credit card clearing and all that to happen seamlessly. So I think that, you know, if you have a good business and you have a really top quality product that you have
Mm-hmm.
confidence in and you can meet the demand,
Yeah.
then you should do it. You know, I do remember saying to you,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to send any more emails out at one particular time, because I was worried
Mm-hmm.
that we would exceed our capacity to
Right.
pack.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what it was, whether it was, well, I know, you know, there are, because we we were actually scared that at one point that you were going to exceed our capabilities.
Yeah. I
And
remember.
we've had that too with our festival, where people come to the field, where we've had to shut down and get worried about too many people coming. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a great position. So I'm sorry, I'm all over the place here, but I think if you have a business that is well placed to fulfill orders confidently with
Mm-hmm.
good quality, there is very little risk to pursuing the avenues that you have to offer to
Yeah.
develop that business in a successful manner.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's such a good point. The product and the capability to deliver really does need to be in place first,
Yeah,
to make this work. But then once that's in place, this just it makes orders take off, so much so that you might not be able to fulfill. But that's a new, better problem.
well, and you know, our website, we have we can inventory control our items, as
Mm-hmm.
anybody can. And we had never used inventory control because we had unlimited inventory.
Yeah.
But there were instances where we had to do that this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Particularly now going into the root season, we've really had to inventory control what we have. Again,
Yeah.
previous years, we've had all the roots, you know, taken every order and filled it. This year, it's not the same. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's nice to have a management problem that is all about what do you do, how do you control,
Mm-hmm.
not overselling. You know, that's
Yeah.
kind of a problem that we now have to really keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And so then finally, would you recommend Natalia Bailey Consulting to a friend?
Yeah, Natalia, I've really enjoyed working with you. You have been,
Me too.
you know, it's been really great.
Yeah,
So, you
it has been.
know, I don't, I don't, we came across each other unknown to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And every single step of the way, you have fulfilled your obligations to us without prompting, without asking, and that's really as much as you can expect from any business relation. It's more than you can expect from most business relationships. And you've delivered on time.
It's important.
So under this year, delivery on time was a real challenge because of the limited time we had.
Yeah.
So I really, but I think that also puts your feet to the fire and makes you that much more productive, that much more urgent, and that much more effective. So perhaps we need to hold back until the last minute and do it again next year.
Nah.
You wouldn't let me do that.
This year we are working ahead.
Awesome. I don't know, it's something about getting that boost, Anyhow.
Right. I mean, I know. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, no, it was great. And as I say, to repeat myself, I think that our working together has been fabulous. And the results have proven themselves. So
I agree. It was an absolute pleasure. And it was a pleasure to go to the fields while I was driving down and meet you in person and see the beautiful peonies in person. That was amazing. So it has been a pleasure for me as well.
Yeah, I hope you can put pictures up on the peony field.
Me too. I'm waiting for them from my brother.
Oh, you are good.
Well, anyway. All right. Well, thank you so much, Richard, for this. And I'll talk to you later.
Very good. Thanks, Natalia.
Awesome.